All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Ladies First. I am your host, Amber Vickers. I have a special guest with me today. I'm going to let him introduce himself. We're going to get into some sponsors, and it's all about the ladies today. It is all about the ladies, and me and Nick love it. So go ahead and shout yourself out and promote yourself.
As you all may be aware, I'm Nick Andre, basketball writer, basketball analyst, covering basically all things basketball from high school, NBA, WNBA, you name it. Make sure to follow me on Twitter right there at Nick Andre ATR. Me and Amber are doing a draft show tomorrow as well, so make sure to check that out. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Check out my link tree as well in the bio, my Twitter.
He put me on a link tree because I was plugging in too much. And Nick really put me on the link tree. And I was like, wait a minute. I could put this
It's
on
so
a job.
much easier.
I know I could put it on a job application. I'm like, man, it's just so much easier to put everything in the bio on your Twitter.
Exactly, because whenever you're on a streaming though, you'll be like, oh, I do this, and then it's just easy, just go to my link tree.
Bam, this is the man with the plan. I am happy you put me on the link tree because I got tired of trying to think of everything that I do. So you can follow me at simplyme_AV on Twitter. The link tree is in the bio. All right. Now we're going to get into some sponsors and we're going to jump right into the show. So first of all, we have mybookie.ag. Let's look at the sports book. So we got mybookie.ag. Use the code USN100 to double your first deposit. Of course, you guys know the Olympics are coming up. We got soccer. The NBA Finals is going on. When is have they already? They've already had the MLB All-Star game, haven't they? Am I thinking correctly? Have they had the All-Star?
I can't remember. I think I remember them mentioning it, but I don't remember the exact date or when it happened.
Okay, so I know they had the home run derby. I know that for sure. We got some golf going on as well. I'm trying to think. I thought Vladimir Guerrero Jr. won MVP of the All-Star game. Am I tripping? I don't know, guys, but you can bet on baseball. You can bet on soccer. UFC has a fight, seems like every weekend. Olympic odds are probably going to come out here too. You got Formula One. So check out mybookie.ag. Use the code USN100 to double your first deposit. I thought they already had it because I thought Vlad won the MVP. I'm pretty sure he did. All right. Next, guys. Next up. teespring.com/store/unwrapped. Get all your Unwrapped Sports Network gear here. We got OG gear. We got new label gear. All the live lineups have gear. King James gear, of course. All the live lineups have gear. Fights Unwrapped, Gen Z Sports, the Fourth Man Pod. They're doing a lot of things for the big three. Check them out. The People's XFL show. Ladies first, I have my mug here. I don't have my t-shirt on because I just left the gym. Saturday Standouts is now with Caleb and Ethan. Backstop Banter with my co-hosts from Count the Bucket. They go on at 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern. So they go on right after me, probably about an hour and a half after me. Business Casual Basketball with Aaron. He goes on about an hour and a half before me. He had a great guest today. I'm going to go back and watch his video. I was able to watch a little bit of it, but I'm going to go back and watch it. Because she wrote Giannis's story. So Giannis has a book out and she wrote his story. So that was his guest today, which is amazing. He gets some amazing guests.
Yes, he does.
Keeping It Blunt, the Prop Bros, and the Long Ball Lounge with Jesse. So check out teespring.com/stores/unwrapped. Woo-wee! The All-Star game. Nick, I loved it. I loved the All-Star game. So we had Team WNBA against Team USA. The first reason why I love the All-Star game is because we had Lisa Leslie and Tina Thompson on the sidelines for Team WNBA. Yeah. And I usually listen to the games on mute. Every now and then I'll play the sound. But I wanted to hear these players were mic'd up because Courtney Williams, one of my favorite players to watch, was mic'd up. So we got her mic'd up. And then we had Lisa Leslie mic'd up. We had Tina Thompson mic'd up. So you get to see and hear players and coaches talking about the game of basketball. But that was probably the shining star moment. And then a lot of women went live on Twitter for the All-Star game as well. I wasn't on Twitter when the All-Star game happened. I actually had to record it and watch it today. because I had other obligations. And I was like, oh, I missed the All Star game. But that's why you have the record button. So, Nick, before I get into my thoughts, what were your thoughts about the All Star game?
I was just happy that we were able to even have one this year. I mean, obviously everybody knows last year, considering that the WNBA was in the bubble last year, and they weren't able to have it. So for them to have it this year, it was really exciting. And I must say, I mean, Team WNBA really came out with a chip on their shoulder. I must say, I think Team USA didn't necessarily expect that, and they didn't really like have their foot on the gas like they needed to. But overall, it was still a good game. Rika Gobawale, lit up the floor, hit like 5 or 6 3-pointers, and they had other contributing factors. Courtney Williams had a solid game. Candace Parker had a few good plays. So I mean, overall, it was just a pretty solid game from start to finish, to be honest. And I was just happy to see some newcomers like Kalia Copper, who else? Dearica Hamby. It was her first All-Star game. And then there's a few others too that I can't remember. But I mean, it was just really exciting to see these females, because I mean, you could tell from the beginning like they were super pumped, super excited to even like be able to participate in an event like this, and for them to show out the way that they did, it was remarkable.
It is. And what makes me smile when I watch All Star games for the WNBA is they actually take it more seriously than the men do. I don't know why, but I think the men get to the All Star game and they gripe about not being picked for being an All Star, but when they get to the game, it's kind of like, we're just gonna kind of go through the motions, and then in the fourth quarter, we're gonna actually try, because they've changed the rules so much for the men in the All Star game to accommodate them to be more competitive. But you remember back in the '90s, All Star games were competitive.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
they were always competitive.
They were high scoring, but they were competitive. Even the early 2000s.
I'm about to say even in the 2000s. Like I want to say like there was one year it was in Philly, another year it was in like Atlanta. So yeah, those also games were pretty good. I don't know. I think maybe it's because the players. I guess the NBA players. I think they just got too relaxed. Like they always want they want to get like the high flying dunks or do anything like that. So I don't think there's a lot of pride on getting a stop on the defensive end for these all-star teams and players, just because everybody just wants a highlight play.
Yeah, that's true. And with the WNBA All-Star game, they were talking to each other a little bit, and they're actually playing really hard. Now, I know there are some feelings towards Team USA from WNBA players. I've talked about that on my show. So they could play a factor into their competitiveness. But the thing about the women's game is they're competitive with each other. But sometimes the refs don't let them chirp. I wish the refs would just let them just talk to each other. They get so in their feelings sometimes about it. And if you're a referee and you're watching the show, I apologize.
It's a part of the game. I mean, you gotta let it happen. You just gotta let it happen. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like one team wants to win, the other team wants to win. So whoever you're guarding, you know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna want to have an edge over them. So I mean, it's a part of the game. Like that. Like that's one thing that I don't understand. Officials in both the NBA and WNBA just kind of getting in between people. I mean, I do understand. They don't want the situation to escalate or go farther, but I mean, it's just trash talking.
Yeah, I love it because in pickup games, they trash talk all the time. And in practice, I've watched WNBA practices on YouTube or little clips and here and there on Twitter, and they trash talk. And I love it. I absolutely love it. When we were in college, some refs would let us trash talk, and there were some refs okay, guys, clean it up. But the All-Star game for me this year brought joy to me. It brought a lot of passion because, like I said before, Team USA was handpicked. They kind of handpicked who they wanted, and we'll get into that later about some of the rules and regulations of Team USA. That'll be the last segment, actually, WNBA news. And the players that, I don't want to say didn't get picked, but I'm saying it's a couple of players on, Team WNBA that probably should have been, on Team USA. The MVP of the All-Star game, she got cut by Team USA. A lot of people don't know that, but Enrique got cut and was the MVP. She lit them up. So I think she took that personal.
She definitely did.
She took that personal.
I didn't even know that either. That's crazy. I didn't even know that she actually got cut, which is ridiculous to me.
Mm-hmm. She got cut and then she lit them up. So I think her teammates from Team WNBA gave her that push and that fire. Hey, go get buckets. Go get some buckets. She's top 5 in WNBA in scoring. So
she was the leading scorer last year.
Yeah. So how do you See, that's the difference between, I think, men's and women's basketball. I think Team USA is a little bit more political on the women's side than it is the men's side. Honestly, that's just what I think. I think a lot more the men's team, they pick, I think they do a better job picking the best players. For the women's side, the women are so dominant over other countries. Other countries have not caught up to the women yet. Although I think it's coming, but I think it's going to take some time because there are more international players being drafted into the WNBA.
That's true.
I think that the women's side is a little bit more politics. In the men's side, they pick usually the best players. It's hard to make a roster for Team USA for the men's. I'm not saying it's not hard for the women's, but it just seems a little different. What do you think about that?
I definitely agree to that per se. I mean, it's kind of like what you said. I mean, as far as like the men's, like you could tell, like, you know, the men's Olympics per se, or at least as far as basketball wise, you know, it's becoming more competitive. Like, you know, as we saw, you know, Team USA lose like their first two games compared to the women's, where, you know, I think the women's game is still continuing to like slowly evolve. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a big thing as far as the men's. So I think as far as, like, you know, continues to grow and continue to evolve over the years, I mean, I don't know, there might be a big change. I'm not even sure.
I would like to see less politics in it, but I know the W has a lot of politics in it anyway. There's only 144 players, right? There's 12 teams. The expansion is coming. We know that.
I hope so.
Oh, boy, I hope so.
There's way too many good players that are just getting cut, not getting an opportunity, and it's like, man, god dang.
Yeah, and one of those players that was cut, she cut 2 years ago? Bejana Laney got cut. She got cut, and if you see her play, you're like, she got cut? Like, what? That's not right. She was an all-star this year.
Yep.
She was a first-time all-star this year, and I think she won most improved. Was she most improved last year? I want to say she was.
I can't even remember.
I think she was. I think she won most improved last year. Look that up for me, Nick. I think it was her. Because she got cut the year before. I want to say she got cut by the Indiana Fever the year before. I want to be right, Nick. You know I don't like being wrong. And I think she won most improved the next year. And then this year, she's an all-star. We're doing some research, but I think that's how it happened.
Yep, she was. She was with Atlanta. I forgot about that. It's crazy.
Yes. So she got cut the year before by Indiana, right?
Yep.
Okay, and then she got picked up by Atlanta. I remember that. She won most improved with Atlanta, correct?
Yeah, which honestly, Atlanta could use it right now, honestly.
Ooh,
if you ask me.
Yeah, they could. And then she went to New York, signed a contract with the New York Liberty because Atlanta let her go. Because I think Atlanta got Courtney Williams, okay, which makes sense. They draft McDonald. They got Odyssey Sims. They already had Kennedy Carter there. That's a lot of shots. So I see why she left.
On paper, it sounds nice, but
yeah, that's a lot of shots. And Courtney, and then you got Tiffany Hayes. Tiffany Hayes is there. She's injured right now, so that's a lot of shots. And try to distribute all those shots among all those players. I see why she went to New York. That made sense for her to go to New York to have a better opportunity. Now, that's why we want expansion, because of players like Laney that got cut, came back hard, played for Atlanta, won most improved, got a nice contract with the New York Liberty, and they're in the playoffs right now. They are currently in the playoffs right now.
They've had the 6th seed right now. Yep.
They're having like a up and down because they were really hot to start the season. Then they kind of hit a little slump. Sabrina got hurt. Natasha Howard hasn't been healthy all year. Michaela Oyunwede has balled out. She has. We're going to talk about midseason.
Not to mention Sammy Wickham as well. She's been killing it too. Oh, my
goodness. Her release is so quick.
Oh, yeah.
And she's played pretty well, too. We're going to talk about midseason awards on our next segment. But I really like what the New York Liberty are doing. I like the All-Star game for so many reasons. I can get into every reason why I like it. I love Dawn Staley as a coach. Team USA, to me, seemed a little... I know they haven't had many practices together. They've had, a couple of practices together maybe. And then, of course, the WNBA team had maybe two practices. I want to say maybe one, because they probably just got to Vegas 2 days. I mean, they probably been in Vegas a couple of days. So they want to build their chemistry, but that'd be the best competition that Team USA plays. Let's just be honest. Will be
Probably, yeah.
the WBA All Stars. What I really want to see though from Team USA, I'm really scared that Skylar Diggins is not going to get the minutes I want her to get.
If she doesn't, I'm going to be very, very upset because I don't know why. I just feel like she is just overlooked, underrated for so many reasons. Like even this year, like, she's having a pretty solid year, but unfortunately, the Phoenix Mercury, they've had their ups and downs. They haven't really had a rhythm. Diana Taurasi's been injured, and she just actually got back in the lineup, so they haven't really had a good year. But Skylar Diggins individually is having a solid year. I want to say she's averaging like 19 a game and like 10, 11 assists per se. So she's having a very solid year. Like if the Mercury were a top team in the WNBA, she'd probably be an MVP candidate.
Her and Brittany Griner both will probably be MVP candidates because I think Brittany Griner, she's like
she's cooking.
One of three players in the WNBA right now that's averaging a double-double. So I think that combination, that pick and roll combination, because they beat Vegas and then they turned around and beat Seattle.
Yeah, they beat Seattle, yep.
And then they lost to Seattle. So that 3-game stretch, they had a tough 3-game stretch because they played Vegas and Seattle back to back.
But man, those were dominant games from Brittany Griner too. She had a double-double in both of those wins too.
Oh, yes. And I like seeing her going up against other bigs like Sylvia Fowles, Jonquil Jones, Tina Charles, Liz Cambage. They love battling and going against each other. And let's just be real. When Team USA, I don't know who their biggest competition will be because I have to watch some more women's international basketball. It's not going to be close because the talent here is just so good. And I would really like to see the world catch up. But sometimes it's a little bit more difficult because women have other priorities outside of basketball. We all know that. They just don't. Most women say, okay, I love playing basketball. I'm good at it. But hey, I'm thinking about the future. A lot of women are thinking about and planning for the future. I'm not saying men don't, but a lot of men like sleep, eat, and breathe basketball. Basketball is all they know. Like, oh my goodness, this is all I know. It's getting better. It's getting better for men. They're starting to broaden their horizons. But women play 11 and a half months out the year. I'll say 11 and a half because I'm giving them a couple weeks to travel. And
it's definitely difficult for women per se.
Yes.
And I mean, I'll admit this too, because I mean, even like, as mothers, they have way more responsibility than the men do. I mean, the men have more time to, dedicate the time to their craft. Whereas, the females who are moms like Candace Parker, Skylar Diggins Smith, all these other out here, they have other priorities where, they have to, set up a time for their kid to go to school or whatever, this and that. So I can definitely admit that, they have a lot on their plate per se, just trying to balance their personal life and then also, try to dominate on the basketball court as well.
Yeah, that balance is beautiful. They had a picture on Twitter. Skylar Diggins had her shoes tied over her shoulder and she had her car seat, the baby car seat. But the All-Star game was everything I wanted it to be. They had the orange carpet. They got to take a lot of pictures. Social and the marketing for the WBA All-Star game I thought was great. I wish they could get a weekend, but I understand why they don't do a weekend for the women because they're tired. Like, look, we got to play 11 and a half months out the year and y'all want us to have a weekend. But I wonder if the women would want an All-Star weekend. I wonder if they would really appreciate that.
I think they should, honestly. I feel like, especially with the way that the W has been growing over the last few years. I mean, I would definitely love to see it, like kind of do something like an NBA, like even though there's not a lot of players, could they have like, a rookie against sophomore type game or per se. And then like we even mentioned it earlier, like, the skills challenge and then the 3-point competition, all that, do that on Saturday night. Just, I mean, kind of have the same format as the NBA, but kind of do it in their own style. And then I don't know if they will want to do the game on a Saturday night or a Sunday night per se, but yeah, I mean, just kind of having that type of format.
I could see that. I would want this event. Shootouts with your partner. So you have, I think they used to do this, where you have you and whoever you're married to, your husband or your wife, whoever you're married to, and y'all compete against other husbands and wives or wives and wives or husbands and wives. I would love to see that. Like pick spots on the floor, and whoever wins, donate it to your favorite charity as they do in the W. They donate $10,000 from the 3-point contest. 3-point contest was exciting.
It was.
Man, it went by
It was.
quick. I was
It
like, wait a
was.
minute, it's already done. Like it's over with. I wanted more, honestly. I wanted more. So, who would you like to see in the 3-point contest? Give me your 4 players you would like to see. Don't put in Quigley. Don't put in none
Oh
of the
man.
contestants. You can't put. She won it 3 times in a row. Okay,
I was
we
about
should
to
just
put Quigley in
rename
there
it.
too.
Okay, we're gonna erase the 4 we had this season, right? We're gonna erase those 4. So Jonquil Jones, Jewel Lloyd, Sammy Wickham, and Allie Quigley. You gotta erase those. Give me
Okay.
4 that you would like to see in a 3-point contest.
Benigel Laney, I would love to see
Okay.
her in there. Dewana Bonner. Yeah, I'll
Okay.
definitely put Dewana Bonner in there. Let me think. Let me think. Let me think. I mean, there are some other snipers out here. Could possibly Kelsey Plum.
Okay. Kelsey
Kelsey
Plum.
Plum,
Okay.
and I guess maybe I'll add Sue Bird in there as well. Sue Bird can knock down shots.
All right. Okay. I'm gonna give you my 4. Sheesh. Skylar Diggins Smith. I like lefties. Ariel Atkins. She's one of
Oh
the top
yeah,
top
I,
3-point shooters this year. Yeah, she's part of Team USA. I want to see that. Give me Stewie. Give me Brianna
oh
Stewart.
yes,
Represent for the bigs. Represent for the bigs, Stewie.
Stewie might win that one too.
Yeah, she has a quick release and she's
Hmm.
tall. My fourth player I want to see in a 3-point contest. Man, Kayla McBride.
Caleb McBride. I'm not mad at that.
She is her release is quick.
I
I
can't
like
believe
Kayla
I
McBride.
can't believe we didn't even mention Enrique. I
Yeah,
can't
I
believe
know,
that.
I know. And I had to put a big in there and give a big some
Hmm.
love because I think we'll start seeing more bigs in the 3-point contest. Jocko Jones kind of put on for the bigs. Kevin Durant made a comment on Twitter. She reminds me of myself, and she does. The way that she shoots is the way she's so long, and nobody can stop her.
That's true.
I mean, nobody can stop Jocko Jones. She's amazing and she's phenomenal. But the WNBA All Star Game is something that me and Nick enjoyed, and we're thinking maybe a weekend. We could pull off a weekend. We can see if they can put a weekend together for the ladies if they're up to it. If
I'm
they're up to it.
I'm honestly imagining like if they do add in a skill challenge, like all like the top tier bigs like John Kill Jones, Candace Parker, Stewie,
Mm-hmm.
maybe Asia Wilson, like
Mm-hmm.
how would you think that would turn out?
That'd be interesting because passing has a lot to do. Passing and ball handling has a lot to do with that skills challenge,
Mhm.
right? You
Right.
have to hit the 3 and hit the layup. Maybe the WNBA will do a little different. Maybe they'll do a behind the back or between legs pass or kind of spice it up and do their own thing. They like to always bring their own flavor. So maybe they'll do something a little different, but you got to be able to pass and dribble. You got to be able to, you'll be surprised how many men miss the layup in the
Yeah, they
skills
do.
challenge.
Oh yeah.
They blow the layup because they're trying to be all casual with it. And then that 3-point shot as well. A lot of men, they rush it. But if the WNBA did that, I think they would add their own spice. And I would like to see that personally.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think they are deserving of a weekend per se, just because how hard they have worked and how
Mm-hmm.
how we've seen really the transition of the W grow over the past few years. So I would definitely love to see a weekend. I feel like if you do make it a weekend, like I think we would see like a lot of like possibly like a lot of celebrities and a lot of entertainers like possibly supported a lot more. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, definitely.
And they seem to like Vegas. They seem
Hmm.
to like it being in Vegas, even though it was 108 degrees outside.
I
They
know.
seem to like it in Vegas because Vegas, you can bring the LA crowd, you can bring that whole West Coast crowd to it, and
That's
it's
true.
usually hot. It's gonna be hot in summer anyway. It's gonna be hot. So Vegas is probably a prime spot. LA probably a prime spot. Let me think. New York, of course. Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta would definitely be there.
Dallas. I would like to see Dallas.
Yeah,
You
Dallas
know,
isn't too bad.
Dallas wouldn't be too bad. So, there's only 12 teams. So
Hmm.
they could pick any venue and probably host an all star game. But we enjoyed it. Team USA won. They won. I mean, excuse me. Team WNBA beat Team
One.
USA
Hmm.
and they won. Enrique was the MVP. We know why she was MVP because, she got cut, came back and said, you know what? I'm going to give y'all buckets. You don't want to pick me to be all-star. Excuse me, go to the Olympics. I'm going to go get buckets. And that's what she did. Had 26. Her and Courtney Williams in that fourth quarter were amazing. They were killing them. Hopefully Courtney Williams makes another all-star team. I voted for her. I personally voted for Courtney Williams because I want to see that personality. I want to see her game. She does lead the Atlanta Dream in scoring. They are struggling right now, but she does lead them in scoring. So good to see.
Expand the league.
All-star. Man, oh my goodness. That we can say that after every time we get done talking about a segment. Speaking of, most improved MVP, defensive player of the year, coach of the year, we're talking mid-season awards. Mid-season awards. Ooh-wee. All right, so we're going to do, I want to do coach of the year. I want to do most improved. I want to do MVP. And I want to do defensive player of the year. Which other one should we do? Which other one would you like to do? You want to do 6-man?
Yeah, 6-woman. Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, 6-woman. We can do 6-woman. We can do 6-woman. I'm so used to our coach calling us guys. Hey guys.
Yeah.
And we used to look at him and be like, I call you guys guys. Like, you still, I know you're women, but you're guys. You're like, okay, coach. So we got 5 awards. All right, we got 5 awards so far. Who is your coach of the year?
I'm gonna say Kurt Miller. I'm gonna say Kurt Miller for the Connecticut Sun. Honestly, like I don't know, like I think it's like over the past few years, like he's really understood like how to get his team going and how to get them to compete at a high level. And you can even look at last year in the bubble. They didn't have Jonquel Jones the entire year, but they gave the Aces fits in that semifinals before the Aces ended up going to the WNBA finals. So now that they have Jonquel Jones back, obviously they have DeWanna Bonner. And the rest of the crew, they've been really dominant this year. I want to say they beat Seattle a few times. I can't exactly remember per se, but yeah, they've definitely been dominant. Obviously, Jonquel Jones is my MVP. I'll get into that later, but Kurt Miller has really led the way over these past few years. Getting the Sun to the WNBA finals in 2019 and possibly having an opportunity this year.
This is going to sound like a cliche because they have the best record in the WNBA, but I'm going to go Noel Quinn. And I'll say Noel Quinn because she got promoted. Dan Hughes stepped down. He's coaching with Team USA, I believe. He stepped down. Noel Quinn got promoted. She's an ex-player. She played at UCLA. I used to watch her a lot in college. She's an African-American woman. I'll say her because you know how difficult that is for a team that just won a title because Seattle won it last year. You're bringing in a new voice, right? You've been used to Dan Hughes all these years. You're bringing in a new voice, and they still respond and respect her, and they're still winning. And the style of basketball, just like a well-oiled machine, it just stays pretty much the same, pretty consistent. Kind of remind me of the San Antonio Spurs, how I think Becky Hammon is going to overtake Pop after this year. That's my bold prediction. I just feel it in my bones. She won a summer league title with the San Antonio Spurs. So I think that Becky is transitioning into that head coaching role. Noel Quinn is coming into a system. They've won. They win. They win in Seattle. And that's a difficult transition for her because, like I said, they just won the WNBA title in the Wubble. And then she's coming in. They've been hearing Dan Hughes' voice all these years. And now you got this new blood in. Now, granted, they respect her because she used to play in the WNBA and she used to be a college player. So they respect her. But that's a difficult transition because some teams can fall off from their transition, right? Like teams can fall off. Like I think the Atlanta Dream would be better if they had their original head coach. I just honestly think that.
They definitely will. And honestly, Peterson, he's had his opportunity throughout this year, but yeah, I definitely agree that he needs to go.
Yeah, I agree with you too. So Noel Quinn is my coach of the year, and he has Kurt Miller from the Connecticut Sun. Most improved. This is a tough one for me. Most improved.
I don't know if you can give it to the same person twice, though, man. But Nigel, she's killing it once again. Basically the number one option for the Liberty this past year. We mentioned, Sabrina's been hurt And then they have Michaela Anya Win. I can't even remember. I can't remember how to
Onyenwere.
pronounce her. Yeah, Anya Win. And
I
then they
learned how
have
to pronounce
Sammy.
it.
I'm still trying to learn myself, but honestly, she's really been the one. Benaj Delaney's been the one that's really been keeping them afloat this year. I want to say she's averaging a career high in points. I can't remember. I have to go look that up. But she's definitely been a great 3-point shooter or a great scorer overall. And I mean, she's been killing it. Honestly, I don't know if you can give the award to the same person 2 years in a row, but that would probably be my pick. I'll say either her or Kalia Copper from Chicago.
Okay, I'm gonna throw a name in there because I love her so much and I love her personality. Courtney Williams is probably
Okay.
she might be in the conversation. She might be in the conversation because those are some great picks. Because I had Claire Copper too. Like I was like, man, first time All Star. She really held it down when Candace Parker was out.
Definitely.
And I like her growth, the growth of her game. I like when her and Diamond D Shields on the floor together. I love when they're on the floor together. It's like dynamic, lengthy wings, and they're just all over the place. I like Courtney Williams because Atlanta goes as she goes. If she's not going, Atlanta's not playing well, and she's the
For
engine
sure.
that makes them go. We know Kennedy Carter's suspended. We don't know when she's coming back. I don't think Atlanta will trade her. Like I said the last episode of Ladies First, I don't think Atlanta would trade her. But I think they need a new head coach and a new voice in that locker room, somebody that everybody's going to respect. That's just my feelings on it.
I I don't know what it is, but Courtney Woods, she kind of gives me like Lou Williams vibes, like on the floor for some reason.
Yeah, she
I
gonna
don't
get a
know
bucket.
why exactly.
Hmm. She will go get you a bucket, and that's who I would have, just because I love her game so much.
Oh yeah,
But I'm trying to think of her name now, and it's coming to me. First time All Star plays for the Connecticut Sun. She was on the second unit, running with the second unit.
is it Brianna Jones? I think.
Yes. So her and Courtney Williams, I had to think of her name. I was like, man, I know it's in the back of my head. Her and Courtney Williams are my two. I hear you with Laney. I hear you with Copper, but her and Courtney Williams will probably be my two. But I think all those women would be in the conversation for most improved. I honestly do. Okay, here we go. Defensive player of the year.
I'm gonna go Jonquel Jones only because she's obviously been the enforcer under the basket for them, which is a number which is part of the reason why the Sun have one of the best records in the league, and then also a great defensive team. I want to say she's like number two in block shots and like number one in steals. So she's been active, honestly. I mean, and plus, I've seen her on a few possessions even step out and have the guard a perimeter player. So with her having that versatility and then also being a leader on the floor, I definitely think that it really sets the tone for the Sun, and I want to say that's probably why I would have her as my defense player of the year. It's a tough one though, but I'll probably have to go with her just because of that.
I'm gonna tell you why it's tough, because Jacqueline Jones could be in every conversation we have about mid-season awards. I'm gonna go Sylvia Fowles. Sylvia Fowles actually leads the league, I believe, in steals, and I think she's top 3 in block shots. So we're gonna go to these stats, Nick. We're gonna look at these stats. Let's look at them. I think she does lead the league in steals, if I'm not mistaken. But Sylvia Fowles is a player that I think she'll be in the conversation. I think her, Jonquel Jones, I think Stewie, I think Brittany Griner, I think all those players would be in the top. Okay, here we go. She does. Wait. Let me see. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna share my screen with you, Nick. Here we go. I got the stats pulled up. The last
All
time I
right.
saw it, she was there. Okay. Can you see that, Nick?
Yes.
Okay. So here we go. We got Brittany Griner's not averaging a double-double yet. I thought she was. We got blocks per game. Sylvia Fowles is 2. And then steals per game. Sylvia Fowles is number 2. So Courtney Vandersloot took over that spot from her. So Sylvia Fowles is 2 and 2, blocks per game and steals per game.
Well, that's weird. I don't know what I'm looking at then, because I could have sworn Jonquel Jones was on that list for far steals, but I don't know.
Still a great choice because she does so much for the Connecticut Sun. I think Sylvia Fowles is probably they're going to be in that conversation. Sylvia Fowles, of course, will be in that conversation.
Right.
Of course, Jonquil Jones will be in that conversation. I think Brittany Griner will as well, and I also think Brianna Stewart would be there as well. I wonder. I want to look this stat up, Nick. I really do. For the next time I do, ladies first. Who was the last wing to win Defensive Player of the Year in the WNBA?
That's tough.
Because I think the bigs in the WNBA get a lot of love. In the NBA, it's a little different. The wins, if you got wings, you win rings. That's what they say. Wings win rings. In the WNBA, I think it takes more of a complete team effort to win a ring because I believe that the talent is more balanced in the WNBA. That's just my personal opinion. Because you don't see other players going to team up with other players. You don't see that.
Yeah, that's true. I hope it never happens either, to be honest.
Oh man, please, the W, please stay away from that. Please just, whoever drafts you, try to make it work with them. And if it doesn't work for them, but the WNBA is more political, I think, than the NBA is. And players get cut. Like, I didn't understand why Connecticut let Courtney Williams go. Like, I would never understand that. And she went to Atlanta, which I think is a great fit for her. But just imagine if they had Courtney Williams right now. I know Alyssa Thomas is hurt, but you got DeWanna Bonner, Courtney Williams, Jonquil Jones, Brianna Jones.
That's some dynamic scoring right there.
It is. Like, who would stop that? Who would stop that?
Honestly.
That team. But Courtney Williams got a chance in Atlanta. She's putting up numbers in Atlanta. She's a leading scorer. So that's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm okay. But that's midseason award for Defensive Player of the Year. Let's go 6th Man of the Year. I have to think of who comes off the bench because the W changes. Because people had 3-on-3s and then they came back. So I really got to think about 6th Man of the Year. I'm really going to have to think about that. Do you know who you have?
I'm going to have to think about it too because there's a lot of candidates that – because obviously, I mean, De'Arica Hamby did win it last year. But she's been solid this year, but I don't know if she's a top candidate per se as far as the award. But I mean, you do also have like I want to say Kelsey Plum's coming off the bench for them as well.
She is. I think she is because I think Jackie Young starts with.
Yeah, that's right. So you got Kelsey Plum off the bench for them. Crystal Dangerfield for Minnesota.
I have to think about this.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is tough because there's so much in and out the lineup. Like because
I know
injury and it's just a tough award to kind of figure out. I'm trying to think of these top teams. Let's see, Seattle, Vegas, Connecticut, Chicago. Who comes off the bench for Chicago? They could probably nobody really.
I know the Shields was kind of in and out of the starting lineup, but
yeah, she is. Does Brianna Jones come off the bench for Connecticut, or does she start?
I want to say she starts. I don't know how I'm not remembering like these lineups for these teams.
I remember them, but then they change because you had 3-on-3, and then people coming back, and then people play for their countries too. Like Jonquil Jones stepped away and paid for her country, and then she came back. So it's kind of tough to kind of figure it out. Like Minnesota Lynx have had all kinds of lineups this season because Ariel Powers is out, and they've had other injuries as well. Ariel Powers, one of my favorite players to watch. And you just kind of don't know. It's kind of like a mix and match type of ordeal. Odyssey Sims starts sometimes for Atlanta, and sometimes she comes off the bench. Kennedy Carter being suspended. I'm trying to think of who's a solid player that comes off the bench. We might have to come back to this one.
Yeah, we definitely
have because I got to think about lineups. I'm like, man, okay. So what is the criteria for 6th Man of the Year, 6th Woman of the Year, in the W? Like, what is the criteria? Because in the NBA they have a criteria of you have to not start so many games, but in the W, I wonder what the criteria is. It's always different. But MVP, MVP.
Can I give you my top 5 per se?
Yeah, you can go ahead. Give me top 5. It's tough. So, it is.
Number 1, I'm gonna go obviously Jonquil Jones. Connecticut's been great. She's been pretty much dominant, and she has improved tremendously as far as shooting wise. I want to say she's shooting 45% from the 3-point line, which is why she was killing in the 3-point contest. And then also as a passer as well. I mean, she's a great decision maker now with the ball per se at that big man position. So I would definitely give number one to Jonquel Jones. Number two, obviously Brianna Stewart. You know everything that she's doing in Seattle. They obviously have the best record, and she's the number one option for the team. Um, who could be number three? I guess. Oh no, Tina Charles. Got to give it to Tina Charles. She's been killing it this past year, and it's crazy too because I didn't consider her an MVP candidate just because Washington hasn't really been that great of a team. But then when I was looking at the numbers and I was looking at her house, I was like, yeah, I'm kind of crazy. Like, there's no question. Like, she's like a top three player in this league right now. Number four, Asia Wilson. Everything that she's doing in Vegas. Vegas has actually been on a roll per se. Like before this break had happened. And then number five, I'm gonna give it to Candace Parker. You know why? Because Candace Parker started out the season. I want to say they won like two, 3 games in a row. Then she goes out, they lose like 7 straight, and then as soon as they come back, or as soon as Parker comes back, they're back on a winning streak again. So Parker's importance to that team, just being able to do just about everything on the floor, it's definitely been a huge key for Chicago this year.
Yeah, she's probably the most valuable, I want to say, piece, because if you take off let me think. Let's look at the top teams in the W right now. Jonquel Jones is missing. Connecticut didn't miss a beat. If you take off Brianna Stewart from Seattle,
I think they still be solid considering that they still have Super, they still have Jewel Lloyd, but would they be as dominant? I'm not sure, but I feel like they definitely wouldn't go on like a bad losing streak per se.
Yes, I agree. Asia Wilson's probably the other player that's really important, but you got another big in Liz Cambage, and you can play Hamby more minutes. You go a little smaller with Hamby and Liz Cambage. She plays the minutes that she plays. But I think those two teams will take a dip, but not a dip like Chicago took. Connecticut they just stay afloat. They have so much talent. You take off Tina Charles from Washington without Ella Deladon, and because she hasn't played yet this season, they're hoping she can come back after the break because she had that back surgery. They're not good. They've been dealing with injuries all season long. Like, goodness.
Even with Ariel Atkins and Maisha Hines and the rest of the crew, I don't see them like really having a lot of success without Charles.
Without Charles, yeah, because she just dominates the middle of the paint. So my MVP candidates would be the same. I think Candace Parker might be the most valuable because of the team she has around her and how much they depend on her on offense. Now, granted, James Wade did have to kind of shake the offense up a little bit because they were missing Stephanie Dolson for a little while.
That's
and
true.
They were missing Quigley for a little while. So you're missing Parker, Dolson, and Quigley for that time period. That's when Claire Copper stepped up. Diamond D. Shields played well. Vandersloot played well. So they had players step up. But it's nothing like having Candace Parker on the floor. And they look like a completely different team with Candace Parker on the floor. And it was hard for them to adjust without her on the floor. So value, because we talked about Steph Curry and his value to the Golden State Warriors this year. Value-wise, I think Candace Parker will probably be number one. Who's probably going to get it is probably going to be between Tina Charles and Jonquel Jones. And I'll say that because of they could give it to Stewie. They could consider Stewie and Asia Wilson, which they will. They will probably be in the top 4. But I don't think if the Mystics don't make the playoffs, it's going to be hard for Tina Charles to get that award because we're going to talk about the Commissioner Cup preview in a minute. The Connecticut Sun are playing in the Commissioner's Cup. Now, do they hold Jonquel Jones playing for her country against her? Do they do that because she was missing some games? Or did they just say, okay, she didn't miss a beat. They're winning without her, but they're winning with her too. Do they take that into consideration and say, okay, if you take Tina Charles off of the Washington Mystics, they're not as good and as dominant as the Connecticut Sun. I wonder how they will look at that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, missing time, that does play a pivotal role as far as having the MVP trophy. But my thing is with Jonquel Jones is that, even like when she has been, available for the Sun, she has been by far like the most dominant, in my opinion, the most dominant in the WNBA. Just considering, everything that she could do on the floor. And then on top of that, Connecticut still being able to keep afloat and adjust to her being in and out of the lineup. So, so that's just my opinion. I mean, and, you can always go Stewie just because Seattle's just always going to be in that conversation every single year as far as the championship. Stewie's just always going to be in the conversation for the MVP every single year. But it is good to see new faces really come about. John Kell's coming about. Tina Charles, who did win an MVP when she was part of Connecticut years ago, but now she's immersed herself back into that conversation. So for players like this who are dominating, and then also their team is also finding success for them on the floor as well. I think it's remarkable and the reason why they should be in these conversations.
Yeah, that MVP is going to be a tough one to pick. Six man of the year is going to be tough too, because I don't know what the criteria is going to be for that. And we're still thinking about that. So we might give it to you on this show. We might not. It just depends if it could come to us. But there's so many players we have to remember who's playing what minutes and when they're playing these minutes. Are they starting? Are they coming off the bench consistently? It's a lot to think about. We're going to switch gears. We talked about these two teams. The Connecticut Sun will be representing the East in the Commissioner's Cup. And the Seattle Storm will be representing the West in the Commissioner's Cup, playing for 500,000 buckaroos. On August 12th in Phoenix, me and Nick are trying to figure out a way to get there. Phoenix is beautiful. I've been to Phoenix in August, and when I tell you it is hot, the heat just hits you in the face.
I've never been to Arizona in general, but I have heard it's super hot, which I can understand being a part of that West Coast area.
Yeah, and I don't mind the heat if I get some good basketball. So we're going to look at these two teams, and we're going to see. I'm going to pull up some stuff here, Nick, if you do not mind. Let's look at, and I'll share my screen as soon as I get it pulled up. Okay. We're going to show you why these two teams are meeting in the Commissioner's Cup. Here are the standings. Come on. All right. Let me pull my screen up for you. Make sure Nick can see it. Hold on. Here we go. My dog starts to bark. All right. If you want to understand why these two teams are playing in the Commissioner's Cup, here it is, right? So they set the 25th anniversary of the WNBA. You guys all know it was a big deal. They wanted to do something different. They wanted to kind of change it up and spice it up, which I loved. And it took me a while to understand how the Commissioner Cup worked. But once I figured it out, I got it. So the Connecticut Sun are the number one team in the East. Seattle Storm, number one team in the West. That's why they are playing against each other. Whew. Nick, what you think about this matchup? This is going to be a great game.
I mean, this might be the Commissioner's Cup matchup and the WNBA Finals matchup, so we might be able to see this a few more times, to be honest. But obviously, I mean, these two teams are deserving. I mean, they've been dominant throughout the entire season. I mean, we obviously talked about it. Jonko Jones leading MVP, Breanna Stewart leading the way for Seattle. But I'm not gonna lie, this. I think this one's gonna be really intense. I really feel like we could possibly get a play-in tournament type vibe, where these teams are really hungry for this. I mean, even though it is basically for cash, it's not really a championship really involved in it. But I think this is a game where both teams will want that edge, especially going into the playoffs. So I think my key for Phoenix, or sorry, not Phoenix, for Connecticut, because I was about to say Sun, for Connecticut is it's how do outside of Jonko Jones, can other players step up? I am expecting, DeWanna Bonner to be able to contribute in a good way. Breanna Jones, and the rest of those guys on there. So it'll really be just about, the other contributing role players, can they do their job on both ends of the floor? Can they be able to do what they need to do in order to get the job done? And if everybody comes together, then of course Jonko Jones is putting up good numbers. So, they definitely have a chance. Now, on the other side, you have Seattle, who has probably a little bit more firepower with, Breanna Stewart, Jewel Lloyd. Obviously, he has Super, dishing the rock per se. So it'll be a tough one per se, honestly, because I feel like Seattle might have a little more firepower than Connecticut, but I think, Connecticut is just, so well oriented as well that they may have a chance as well.
Got your pick? Do you know who you're going to go with?
I'm going to go with Connecticut. I'm going to go Connecticut on this one.
Oh, okay. All right. So the Connecticut Sun, that guard play is important for Connecticut. I think will be the most important for them because you know what the bigs are going to give you? So I want to see what Jasmine Thomas is going to give. I really like Jasmine Thomas. I love watching her play a Duke. Fiery competitor.
She
Gets
is.
gets into you on defense, right? Gets into you on defense. And Natasha Hydeman, if she gets hot from three, that could be huge. She could be six man of the year too. She could be a candidate because she comes off the bench.
That is true.
She's averaging a career high right now. So if she gets hot from three, Jasmine Thomas gives you what she gives you. You know what the bigs, DeWanna Bonner and Jones, two Joneses are going to give you. They could potentially upset Seattle. I don't know if it'd be considered an upset. It might be because Seattle is a reigning WNBA champ, but this is
And
the Commissioner's Cup.
they're always favorites anyway. Seattle is, so for a new team like Connecticut who hasn't really accomplished much. I mean, they did make the WNBA finals in 2019, but they weren't able to overcome the Washington Mystics. So for them to possibly have that edge, I mean, even though, like I said, I mean, they're not really necessarily playing for anything like really important like that, but for them to be able to get this win and possibly have that edge in the postseason, I think it'll benefit them.
Yes. And for Seattle, like we said before, they are a well-oiled machine. So Seattle, they just go. It doesn't matter who's coaching. Their system just runs and they play well together. They have their moments, they have their moments. But overall, they do have firepower. But I think Connecticut has firepower too. I really think that DeWanna Bonner and both Joneses can provide that firepower. I think that's their big three. Mm-hmm. Then you look at Seattle's big three, of course, Sue Bird, Stewie, and Jewel Lloyd. That's tough. The others will be the factors. So those others for both teams, that's a tough pick. I'm going to go Connecticut too. I really want to see Connecticut do it. Just imagine if they had Alyssa Thomas. You know what I mean? That would be great. But we'll see her next season, hopefully. I'm going to go Connecticut with you, Nick. I think it's going to be a great game. I don't know who the underdog will be. I don't know what the lines are. They probably come out around the time the game comes out. So the game will be on August 12th in Phoenix. I'm not sure what time, but August 12th in Phoenix is the Commissioner's Cup. It's right after the Olympics. And then they resume the season August 15th. So then everybody will be fighting for a playoff spot. And then they'll start the playoffs usually around September. And then the finals is usually around September, into September, October-ish. So that's the Commissioner's Cup preview. We both picked Connecticut. So we're on the same side there. All right. Nick has some WNBA news. I had one thing to share, but, Nick has a couple of things to share. This is our last topic of the night. I always give you guys news you can use. I usually do it first, but I want to talk about the All-Star game first. So news around the W, Nick. Go ahead.
It's unfortunate when, a player who, given so much to this game, wants to play in the Olympics, wants the opportunity to represent her country, per se, doesn't get the opportunity. And then I want to say she requested an opportunity to play in Nigeria. And then I guess I don't know if FIBA denied it, or I don't know what exactly what happened. Yeah, FIBA denied it. So Neko Gulumike, as many people know, a WNBA champion, an MVP, not being able to play in the Olympics is kind of atrocious, if you ask me. I know Candace Parker spoke out about it a few weeks back, and I think a few other WNBA players have as well. It's just unfortunate to me, and it's kind of like what you're saying, Amber. I mean, the politics of it, it's just unfortunate to me, and it plays a big factor. A lot of these players not getting the opportunity, like I'm saying, like you said, Enrique Gumbuwale not getting the opportunity as well. So I personally still don't understand it per se, especially with everything that Neko Gulumike has given to this game. Of course, with her leading the way as far as the WNPA president. So it just sucks in my eyes that she's not going to be able to participate in the Olympics whatsoever.
Yeah, and for me, that was disheartening to see that as well. Candace Parker didn't make the team in 2016. And she said, I will never play for Team USA again. I think she's doing commentary on the Olympics, though. I think she's going to the media side for the Olympics. So that's good for her. She does double job. She does a triple job. She's a mom. She plays in the league. And then she covers the NBA. So she does a lot. And she did college basketball this season as well. So.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, Candace Parker for the men's. She did the NCAA tournament and did some things for the NCAA tournament. She has spread her wings and she is flying. But I remember she made a statement. She was like, "Nah, I think I'm good." After that 2016 snub, she was like, "Yeah, I'm all right." Makes sense. She's getting her bag in other ways. Let's just say that with TNT and NBA
And she's great
TV,
at it too.
and she's lovely. We love Candace Parker. So that politics part of it is just so deep, and it's nothing that we will understand from the outside looking in. I know WNBA players have spoke out about it. Devereaux Peters has spoke out about it. She went in on Twitter, like she wrote like a whole thread about the Olympic committee process, and I talked about it on Ladies First probably a couple weeks back. She went in. I mean, because she knows more than we know, of course, because she played in the W.
Hmm.
So she knows a lot. And these players, when they decide to come out and dish out this news, the WBA has been full of tea this season. I don't know if I follow the right people on Twitter or what. They've been just dropping bombs. And I read a whole thread of just WNBA tea, and I'm like, what? I'm trying to keep up with it. I want to take a social media break, but I can't quite do that because I might miss out on something
Too
really
good.
good. Yeah, that I need to talk about. And for Agumlake, that really sucks. And I don't know if she's going to try again in 2024. She might just say, you know what? I don't know if I wanted to go through that process again of not getting picked because there will be new players in the W. I think Enrique will probably make the team in 2024. She should have made it this year. She'll
Hmm.
probably be a new face. You probably get other new faces to make the team as well. So we're going to send a prayer out to you. So prayers to you. I know you weren't able to play, but I look forward to seeing you play in the second half with the Sparks and see who can get you guys in a playoff spot.
Yeah, her and her sister, man. I mean,
Yeah,
I hope both of them can come back and possibly help the Sparks kind of push into that playoff position.
I hope they can too. So my news is Candace Parker being on the cover of NBA 2K for 25th anniversary. I think her, Luca, and I'm missing somebody else.
I know they had. I know there was like a legendary edition that had like Kareem, Kevin
Okay,
Durant,
man.
and
Okay.
somebody else. I can't remember.
Okay, and then you have Luca, and then you have Candace Parker. So Candace Parker's on the cover. This is long overdue. I mean, because they put WNBA players in 2K. My friends was like, I play with WNBA players all the time. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then I played 2K, and I hadn't played 2K in years. And I'm like, what? I can play with WNBA player? Oh man, this is my team. I'm picking my squad. So I'm really happy for Candace Parker. It's long, long, long overdue to have a woman represent the WNBA on the cover of 2K, but I'm happy for her. And Sue Bird was on the cover of Time magazine as well. So
Super dope.
the WNBA is
It's,
we're doing a lot. They're growing. Their marketing is getting better. It's not perfect, of course. Nothing is perfect, but it's getting better.
yeah, I
Um,
mean, definitely. I mean, that's basically like another example of the W continuing to grow. I want to say this is the first time a female's been on the 2K cover.
mhm.
So yeah, I
First
mean,
time.
so yeah, kudos for Candace Parker, especially for her because honestly, like there's a lot of people that don't necessarily appreciate what she brings to the game. I mean, I remember even last year, like when she won Defensive Player of the Year, people were just kind of like denying it and this and that. And I was like, come on, y'all. But it's definitely a good step in the direction as far as the WNBA and 2K per se. And I'm gonna say I want to say they started putting the players in like a few years ago,
Mhm.
and I was a little disappointed because when I was playing with I can't remember what team I was. I want to say it was probably Minnesota that I was playing with, and there was a player on there that looked nothing like the character looked nothing like the actual player, which is crazy. So hopefully 2K could possibly help out on that end, continue to grow it. But I think one thing that I do want to see, hopefully now moving forward, is can they have like a my player mode for like female players, like where they can
Ooh, yes.
go to college and then go to the W. So that'd definitely be a dope thing if 2K can add it because I mean I feel like doing that'll really attract like a lot more WNBA fans and female players.
I like that. I like that. Hmm. Yeah, that creates your own player. Women have to spend 3 or 4 years in college, depending on their age,
That's
before
true.
they can go to the NBA, which is, it is what it is. That I think that rule is going to change too. Somehow, some way, they're going to probably think about changing that rule. But the reason why they probably can't change it right now is because there are not enough teams.
That's true.
There's just not. It's not enough teams. You got 144 in there now, and you got players that could probably get you 15 a game that aren't even on a team. And, you don't have the G League like the NBA has. They can't go play internationally and come back. So it's a lot. It's a lot to think about. There's a lot for the WNBA to expand upon. But do you have any other news? I'm trying to think of anything else I've heard this week. Enrique won MVP for the All-Star game. We know that Quigley won three-point contest 3 times in a row. Candace Parker's on the cover. Ogumilike got denied. Anything else we can think of?
Other than expand the league, honestly.
We say that after every segment.
Yeah.
Expand the league. I say that after every show. Every time I get done talking about the W on Ladies First, because I do the Ladies First, I always say expand the W because it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I'll talk about a woman. It's not really WNBA news because she works more on the men's side. Did you hear about Maria Taylor going to NBC?
I heard about that, yeah.
I hope she does. You want me to be perfectly honest? She deserves better.
Yeah, she does, and it's kind of crazy. It kind of makes ESPN look bad because everybody knows about the whole Maria Taylor, Rachel Nichols debacle per se, and Rachel still continued to do her job at ESPN even though she's not on the solids for the NBA Finals. But she's been able to host the jump, and then she's even still been able to do post game coverage per se. Mm-hmm. So for her to not really get suspended or held accountable for her actions per se, and then Maria Taylor, obviously I want to say she asked for a certain salary per se, but they would have give it to her per se, and now she's getting ready to walk off to the NBC. Just unfortunate, man. It's just unfortunate, but I love Maria Taylor. I love everything that she does. She definitely deserved that job as the moderator for NBA Countdown, mm-hmm. And I definitely cannot wait to see what she does next in her career. Because honestly, we've seen this so many times. With other Black analysts, being able to move forward from ESPN and do great things. Like Carrie Champion left ESPN, now she has a podcast. Jamel Hill, the same thing. Mm-hmm. So it is unfortunate because ESPN is the big time network, but there's other ways that that you can continue to voice your opinion and do the thing that you love.
I saw this on Twitter from multiple people that. I know you made this tweet as well. You don't need ESPN to have a voice. Mm-hmm. And people said that ESPN is losing a lot of talent, a lot of good talent. Because let's just be honest, Nick. When we're covering football and basketball, when you're covering football and basketball, players look like us. They're Black. Mm-hmm. So to not have, a voice for our people, that's difficult. And I know ESPN, I know Stephen A. Smith is the highest paid at ESPN, but he does a lot. Maria Taylor does college football game day. She also does the NBA finals, and then she does the NBA. So Maria Taylor does a lot too.
She even did the women's tournament this year.
Yeah, she did. So there you go. Add it to the resume, Maria Taylor. I don't know how she fits everything on. Does she still have to do a resume?
She should at this point. Everybody should know who she is.
Yeah, I don't think she has to do a resume at this point. But I got to ask her a question on a Zoom call, and she was very, very nice last summer. It seems like COVID just made everything fly by. But she was very nice, very sweet, very welcoming, very honest as well. So, Maria Taylor, whatever you do in your next life, will be following you. I heard there was a rumor she's going to do Football in America on NBC on Sundays. So she'll probably do that and probably do some other things with NBC as well. If she came out with her own show on NBC, I'm watching it. I'm just going to be completely honest with you.
I definitely would.
I'll watch it because I just love what she brings. Now, who is going to be the new curator for NBA Countdown? Could it be Malika Andrews? I think she likes doing her sideline thing. I really think she's
good at it too. So I don't know. That's honestly a good question. Mm. I don't know. I would definitely have to think hard about that. Maybe they bring in another young asset, mm-hmm. to put alongside Jalen Rose and Jay Williams, those guys. So you never know. But it honestly is kind of unfortunate because I mean I really did love seeing Maria Taylor cover these playoffs per se, and now the NBA Finals. And I remember hearing Jalen Rose just basically saying like Maria deserves her money, yada yada yada. I want to say he said that on national television.
He did.
Yeah, so you know it's unfortunate though because I mean it's kind of like you said. I mean she did football, she did college basketball, so she's done everything. I mean she's put in the work to put herself in a position that she is in. So, but hey, I mean, maybe this is a better opportunity in to make it. So, I mean, NBC is a pretty good network per se. So, you never know.
You never know what can come of it because you can leave one situation, one toxic situation, which I've heard about how they treat their employees of color at ESPN, and bloom and blossom in another situation. So, Maria, we're cheering for you. We're in your corner, Maria Taylor. You go do your thing, and wherever you go, we will be following you. All right, guys, I got two more sponsors left because that's the end of the show. Nick and I had fun, of course, as always. We always have
Ooh,
fun.
I actually just came up with a name real quick. I'm gonna say it real quick. Monica McNutt to host NBA Countdown.
I love Monica McNutt. She's so raw and so
She's really
honest.
good.
I love Monica McNutt. Thank you. Oh my good. Let me think of anybody else who could do it.
Yeah.
Could LaChina Robinson do that? I know she does a lot for the WNBA though.
She could, but I don't
That's a
know. It's
lot.
like
That's
it's
a
kind of
lot.
weird because I mean I think the only person that like kind of switches or transitions from NBA to WNBA is Brian Rucco.
Hmm.
So yeah, they might be able to do it with LaChina.
She does a lot. So I'm trying to think about how that would fit into her schedule. Because that is a lot for her. But she probably could make it work. We somehow make things work that shouldn't work, but they work anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Check out rxhemp.com. Use the code rxhemp/USN to get 10% off your entire order. It's warm and cool therapy. A CBD cream, pay attention to the dosage. It's made with all natural products and it has celebrity believers. So check out rxhemp.com. I cannot talk tonight. Use the code rxhemp/USN to get 10% off of your order. And I have one more. I have to bring it up. It's the most important one. Patreon. Let me share this screen for the Patreon. I'm going to share my screen computer. Don't you worry. Here it comes. Boom. Patreon.com/unwrap sports. $1 a month. You become a fan. Your general support. $5 a month. Become part of the family. Get 10% off that Teespring shop I showed you earlier. All access to the Discord chat. They go crazy in the Discord chat about betting. They've been winning a lot of money. Corey and Perry and all the other guys have been on a very hot streak of winning money. They bet on the WNBA. They bet the MLB All-Star. They bet, the finals, of course. They bet on any and everything. So if you want access to the Discord chat, $5 per month can get you that. VIP status is $10 a month, 20% off that Teespring shop, as I shared before. The Discord chat, of course, and you get put in the running for signed memorabilia. So every month we'll have something that's signed by a professional player, and you get put in the running for that to be able to win that. So check out patreon.com/unwrap sports. I thought of a 6-man of the year. I don't know if she could get it. Alicia Gray from the Dallas Wings. I think she might have started too many games. I don't know. Have
I
to
want to
check
say
on
she
that.
did start. See, that's the thing though. Like, there's too many players that are like in and out of the starting lineup.
Yeah.
So
But she
I
does
don't
come off the
know.
bench now. So
Yeah,
it's kind of like, ugh. But she played in 3-on-3, right? Her, Samuelson, and I'm missing one. Her, Kaylu Samuelson. Who else played 3-on-3? They have two more players. Was it Kel? Is it
I can't
Plum?
remember. It might have been. I can't remember.
I have to think about it. Guys, my brain's all over the place, but I think I'll go Alicia Gray.
I like
Hopefully she
that.
hasn't
I'm not mad at that.
hope she hasn't started too many games. But we'll discuss this when the awards come out. I'll do a show on ladies first, and Nick and I discuss it. But that's it for tonight. That's it for tonight. Nick, go ahead and shout yourself out and promote what we're doing tomorrow.
Obviously, follow me on Twitter at Nick Andre ATR. As I said earlier, basketball analyst, basketball writer, covering everything from high school to the NBA. As Amber said, tomorrow we are continuing our NBA draft looking, or I don't even know what to call it per se, but we're doing the forwards. So
We're doing
you
the
know,
fort.
if you
Yes.
love if you love the NBA or if you're excited about these prospects, come check us out.
Yes, we had fun doing the guards. The guards were fun.
Yeah, they were fun.
And that it was a lot of fun. I like looking at college players a lot. I did it a lot last year. I had a lot more time on my hands, so I was able to do a lot of them. Nick picks the prospects. I'd look up the numbers. Nick watches film. Of course, I've watched college basketball all season long. We come together and we give you guys a great show for about an hour and 15 minutes, and then we'll do centers on the 23rd. And then, of course, you guys know the draft is on July 29th. It is July 29th in Brooklyn. The number one overall pick is going to be very interesting because there's a lot of rumblings going around because, the draft is getting close. But the Unwrapped Sports Network is going to try to do a mock draft. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it. But
Yeah,
I want to
no,
go.
like
I don't know because people's schedules are just, you know what I mean? They do a football draft. It won't be as long because it's not, the NBA will be quick.
I know
NBA
last
is
year was
very
like
quick.
4 hours or something like that.
Yeah, it was a long time.
Yeah.
So I don't know if people's schedules will permit for us to do a mock draft. We're gonna try, and I want to do a live show for the draft because Ladies First usually goes on Thursdays. I think I might replace the Ladies First show with a draft show. I want to see if we can do that. I'll see if I can get people to participate in that. If we have enough participation, I'll probably do it. If
Right.
not, we'll see. We'll just see, guys. But you can follow me at simplyme_AV. Of course, Nick and I are part of the Unwrapped Sports Network. Check out our Top Prospects show tomorrow at 7:30 Central, correct? Nick, we're going to go 7:30?
Yep. 7:30.
Okay, the Fords. So these are the guys that will be very versatile in NBA.
Gonna be a lot of good ones too. A lot of sleepers. There's one that I think is gonna take a huge leap, but I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save it.
Ooh, see, you gotta come on the show tomorrow. You gotta tune in or watch the playback, however you want to do it, to find out. So for Amber and for Nick, we will see you guys tomorrow.
Deuces.